Hello and welcome to what is part 4 of the famous podcast. So, in this week's episode, I need you to understand something. I think I'd had a bit of a bad week when I recorded this one. Now, it was a long time ago, and I was a bit of a miserable bugger, if I'm perfectly honest. And there quite a few things niggled me. But I said I'd put it up for posterity, so please enjoy. Remember, it was a testament of its time, and I hope you like it. So here you are, enjoy.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Pilgrim podcast once again with me, your host Alex. A huge welcome and a big thank you for coming back once again, for listening and supporting. I am trying to get the numbers up now actually, so if you have any friends, and I'm sure you do, why not tell them about this podcast? Let's share the joy and all that. Now, funny things did happen to me this week, and we'll get to that in a moment. Bits of observational humour this week. But some serious things happened as well. It was an incredibly busy week, if I'm perfectly honest. It's actually been a very busy couple of weeks, but this last week that we're talking about was busy in its own right too. I managed to work with 4 lovely families to help them through the funeral and bereavement process. We had lots of new people, new patients come to the clinic. There was a mountain of admin to do to support all of this. So it was a balanced week with the tedium of doing admin, which I'm not a huge fan of, and the actual joy of being able to help other people as well. A very, very powerful week. But I came to the end of it Friday evening, and I hadn't recorded the podcast. I just hadn't had time. I tried several times, and it all seemed to go wrong. I never managed a single take that I thought, I can take a bit of that and a bit of that. No, it didn't work. So it came to Saturday morning, now, 24 hours late for publishing, and I'm having another go. I did try last night, I really did, and after 3.5 hours in the cupboard under the stairs at midnight, I really, really couldn't see my hand in front of my face any longer. I really, really had had enough. Now, I will admit that the light had gone, and that's probably why I couldn't see my hand in front of my face, but at the same time, I was absolutely shattered. Now, I seem to have picked up some sort of summer cold recently, and I've had an awful gravelly voice for the last few days. So if I don't quite sound myself, and I'm not 100%, apologies, and apologies as well that the podcast was late. But I did have 2 lovely, lovely comments this week, so compliments if you like. One person said, "You're falling into your own natural rhythm now. You've done 3 podcasts already, and it's becoming far more natural." So thanks to that person. And also a big thank you and a shout out to Gary. Now, in the comments below, the descriptions that I say for the podcast, there is a link to Gary's Just Giving page. Now, he is doing something which I think is very, very important. He's actually doing something for charity and not just talking about it. I think that his methods are clinically insane because he's been training to go running. It's a marathon. And I just couldn't do it myself. I really do take my hat off to him, and judging him by my own very poor, very low, very non-energetic standards, I think he's mad. But I also, as I said, do take my hat off to him. The details are below, and it's for epilepsy. Now, he has personal reasons in his family scenario for supporting this charity, but I think the fact that he's prepared to go and do it, I do have to say, big shout out to you and Gary as well. Thank you for saying that you like listening. So, moving on from all of that, what's been happening in my world this week? Well, I mentioned that it's been very busy. It's for that reason that I'm taking a much-needed break this weekend. We don't have any patients at the clinic, and I don't have any admin to do. So Noah and I are going to look at cars. Now, I desperately need a new car. I'll get to that in a moment. So we're going to go and have a look around garages, if there's any open. Just get some ideas of what there is for what price and compare it to what's available privately and via import and auctions. It's a real research weekend. Now, Noah loves cars, so he's going to have the time of his life. Now, I have decided to sell and get rid of the Ford KA. It's not that I don't like it. Wait, actually, yes, it is. Yes, it is that. And it's not that it has lots of problems with it. Again, yes, actually, it is. On Tuesday this week, I decided enough was enough. I wasn't going to pay the tax at the end of the month or beginning of July, which I then did, but that's another story. Or should I say, a bit of the story that's coming in a minute. And the insurance is due to run out on the 4th. That is tomorrow. And there is no way that I'm reinsuring that car. That is absolutely firm. So it is now parked safely on the stones outside the house on private property. And I can sawn it. I wanted to do this on Tuesday. Tuesday morning, I decided enough was enough. I went out to the car and removed all the personal possessions and belongings and put them in the camper. I spent about half an hour doing this, and then a further half an hour readjusting and moving and straightening the camper and making it all nice, ready to take out and start using for a few weeks whilst I decided what car I might like to have next. Only trouble was, the camper then had a puncture, and I hadn't realised this until I actually sort of got in and tried to drive off. I then thought, okay, I'm going to have to put all the stuff back in the blasted little car now, aren't I? Which, of course, I did. I got home on Tuesday night and, huge priority, decided, right, we must get a mobile tyre place because, as I was told, there was no spare wheel on the car. It turns out when I examined more closely that there is a spare wheel on the car. It is a space saver. It's a get me home wheel, and certainly you wouldn't go out and try and travel 60 miles on a space saver. But it is there, and I thought that was useful to know for the future. We booked a tyre place, and one of these tyre places that offer a mobile service. We booked it on Tuesday night for Wednesday morning. And on Wednesday morning, what we didn't get was a tyre and a cheerful chap. What we got instead was a phone call and a text message. We don't serve your postcode. Oh, but we booked online. Yes, but we don't serve your postcode. Oh, but we had a confirmation from you. Yes, but we don't serve your postcode. You shouldn't have been able to book that. Ah, but we did. Yes, but you shouldn't have been able to. And this went on for a few more minutes before we decided to give up. I think what they really meant deep down was, we're very sorry, sir. There appears to be some sort of misunderstanding. We don't actually serve your postcode, and our website and the computer was wrong to allow you to do this. We're ever so sorry for the inconvenience. However, what came across in their voice was sheer indignation and insult that we had attempted to book their services from our postcode. I'm very sorry to this company, but I am also very, very grateful to the other company, and I'll name the other one, Vale Tyres. They actually came out the following day, on the Thursday. Not only did they do the job and fit the tyre, they didn't need me to be at the property at the time, and were even so trusting that they allowed me to phone up and pay later in the day. That's what I call service, not the first company that I won't mention, because although they don't serve my postcode, the first company, I'm sure their solicitor does serve something, and I do wonder what that might be. So, the little car, now off the road completely, camper fixed with a new tyre, and we're all ready to go. I will be sawing the vehicle, the KA that is, very shortly, and if anybody would like to buy one, I just so happen to have it. Now, making new memories, very, very important, not just sticking to old ones, very much the theme of this week. I went to Barbary Castle this week, and I tried desperately to create the video that I mentioned in the previous podcast. Not living a simple life, because, as I said, I don't have a simple life to lead, but very much living the best life that you possibly can and recreating yourself. And so I went in the camper. This was before the wheel went, so it must have been Monday. I went and I pulled up and I started to do a recording. I got about 2 hours into the footage and was really, really into the video. And then along came two walkers who told me that they walk up to this particular spot every day and then they turn around and go back. But there was this chap with cameras and microphones, and he was absolutely fascinating to them. So after about 10 minutes, they called across and said hello, and I said hello back. They very kindly asked if I worked for the BBC, and, well, they were of that generation, and I felt like saying, oh, absolutely, yes, some Friday night slot, you know. But I didn't, and I was honest, and I did say, no, it's a YouTube channel and a podcast. We then chatted for about half an hour, and then I'd completely forgotten where I was. I'd completely lost the thread where I was in the video and decided to give up and save it for another day. However, I had the new camera jib, and I was extremely excited about this. After spending £409 total, of which I will say in a very, very clear, very miserable voice because I was annoyed, £90 of that was for a bag. As in a bag to put the jib in. And I don't think this bag was worth £90. I will admit it was big, but it was also too big, and it was padded, and I don't know, I just don't think it was worth £90. The jib, absolutely worth every penny. The bag, not so much. But I'm not going to moan about that. What I am, well, not too much anyway. What I am going to say is that I decided to do an unboxing video from the back of the camper in the middle of the countryside. And it was at this point that my couple that had walked up drove back up in their car halfway through the camera jib video and wanted to chat again. They also wanted a card so that they could go away and follow the channel. So if you guys are watching, hello to you as well. I will not pretend that it was a bit inconvenient when they came back the second time, but it was nice to talk again, and I was able to maintain the thread that time. So that was good. That was all right. Now, Barbury Castle is, and always has been, one of my favourite places. I love going for the peace and the quiet, and it is just a lovely place just to go and chill. But I was very, very conscious that I was trying to recreate old memories again. And so after a while, and after trying to walk up the hill, which I managed to do, and I sort of thought of Gary and his running and thought, you know what, even this bit's hard enough for me. But after walking up the hill and taking in the scenery, I realised there was no video to be had that day. So instead, I decided that I would go and see my children. This brings me to a funny thing that happened. You see, I had all the boxes from the jib and I needed to get rid of them. So I was very conscious that the back of the van was absolutely full of cardboard boxes. Well, all right, that's a slight exaggeration. It had 2 boxes in it, but they were big ones. And there was a bit of plastic and what have you as well, and packing material. So, yes, I needed to get rid of all of this. I wanted to buy a Subway for the girls. Well, or more to the point, they wanted a Subway. So we went to the first of the 2 Subway shops that we would go to that day. Now, there are many, many reasons why you might run out of, say, lettuce or sweet corn or even butter. Actually, I don't think Subway do butter, do they? But never mind, we'll move on. Running out of the odd ingredient, I can accept. But there is one ingredient that I would say a sandwich shop, yes, you probably guessed, there is one ingredient that a sandwich shop I don't think should run out of. It's quintessential to the whole idea of the sandwich. Yes, they'd run out of bread. And the conversation went something along the following lines. Could I have 2 of these particular sandwich, please? Oh, sorry, we haven't got any bread. We're ever so sorry. Oh, okay. Have you just run out? Yes. Oh, right. Are you cooking more? No, we've run out. Oh, all right, okay. But you've got some in the oven there. No, we've run out. You can't have that. Ah. Okay, fair enough. So you're not cooking any more? No, we've run out. Have you run out of the ingredients? No, we've run out. This went on with every possible variation that I could say, so I gave up, and I promptly left. I was a little tiny bit indignant, as I do happen to be, when somebody blatantly has got a load of bread in the oven and won't give me any. However, I went to the second Subway sandwich shop, and this was a much different affair. I did get my sandwiches, and I also got a bit of a story. It's not a particularly exciting story, but it amused me at the time. You see, I had to pay £1 to park in the car park to be able to buy my sandwich. And I don't like this sort of thing. If I'm going to go and spend money somewhere, I don't see why I should pay for parking for the privilege. And it was a public car park, so it wasn't even an opportunity to get the £1 back off of my sandwich. I was a bit indignant, to say the least. And part of the problem is, in this particular area, Bath Road in Cheltenham, the issue that you've got is you used to have a lot of on-road parking where you could park for an hour, and it was perfect just to pull up, go in, get your sandwich or whatever it was you were doing, and go again. And then they had the public car park. But because of COVID, they decided they didn't want people parking down the road, so they blocked it all off. I don't really see what advantage this is, but there we are. So I parked in the car park and paid my £1, and I was determined I was going to get my £1's worth. So I used the recycling bins, the recycling things where you've got the section for cans and the section for cardboard. There is a particular word, and I can't think of what it is, but there's sort of the big sort of units that you feed the stuff in. If anybody can think of it, do send me an email. It's middle-agedness. I've completely forgot what it's called. But these sort of recycling units. So this is middle-agedness, and talk about being natural. I completely forgot what it's called. Okay, so there are these big things that they have in car parks that you can put your tins and cans and cardboard and what have you in, and I put all of my cardboard, or 2 boxes, in. They then had some public toilets, and I was determined I was going to use them whether I needed to or not. As it turned out, I did need to use the loo, but that's not the point. I would have gone in anyway. What I would have done if I didn't need to go to the loo, I've absolutely no idea. But anyway, we're not going to go down that path. The important thing is I was going to get my money's worth. And I then walked the short distance to the Subway shop. Now, they couldn't give me a plastic bag because, as the sign says, by law, they have to charge me 10p. Now, I could have paid 10p, but I wasn't going to. I'm British, and I will struggle if necessary. I will bludgeon through. I will show with just sheer brute force and determination. It was a pain in the arse, though. So I did ask, did they have a paper bag I could have? And no, they didn't. Because by law, you don't have to charge for a paper bag, but they didn't have any. What they did have, however, were paper cups. These cups were for you to put your drink in as part of your meal deal. So I then had to fill my own cups, which was a bit indignant, because if I'm paying for something, I expect somebody else to put the blasted liquid in, but never mind. I went over to the dispensing machine and dispensed 2 cups of pure soda water with a slight drizzle of post-mix syrup representing Pepsi Max. But these were not 2 glasses of Pepsi, or 2 cups, should I say, of Pepsi Max. Instead, as I said, they were just soda water. So I went and politely pointed out, not complaining, because I wouldn't do that, but politely pointed out that there was a fault. They then said to me, OK, we fixed it now. It took them 10 minutes to do this. My sandwiches were going cold. I know they were only toasted, but that's not the point. So I then said, well, could I have 2 new cups, please? No, you can use those. I need 2 new cups. No, you don't. Well, yes, I do, because I filled these 2 up with this colourless liquid. Yes, and I really don't think that they got the idea that there was liquid in these cups that I needed to get rid of in order to put in the new actual drink that was going to taste nice. So I debated this for a little tiny bit more. And then they said, no, you need to use those. And I said, well, what do you want me to do with the liquid that's in there? Their grasp of the English language then seemed to completely escape them. They did, when they came and inspected, just looked at me, and I said, well, should I tip it in the bin? I was getting quite sarcastic by this point. I said, should I just tip it on the floor here? I wouldn't have done that. Should I tip it in the ice machine? Came the response, and 2 brand new cups suddenly materialised. They didn't give me 2 new lids or 2 new straws, though. I will admit I hadn't asked for those. However, I thought, no, you're giving me just what I'm entitled to. And it left a bit of a bitter taste, if I'm perfectly honest. But then again, well, hey-ho, I suppose. So, anyway, I then left and pottered back, and not much else exciting happened to me that day. So, that wraps it up for this week. I'd just like to say thank you very much indeed once again for coming back. And next week, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to record from the camper van again, when hopefully my brand new recording device, the Zoom H8, will have arrived. Until then, I'd like to say thank you very much indeed for listening and coming back once again. Do please tell your friends and spread the word. Wishing you a very, very pleasant week, and signing off saying thank you and good night.